Objectification of women has been going on pretty much since the very beginning of video games. It's in the source code of gaming. But I think one character stands out from other overly sexualized video game heroines. And maybe it's because she's packing so much heat. I hate myself. I couldn't think of any other way to start this video. Welcome to Higher Level Gaming. I'm your host, Rob Glob, and today we are talking about the priceless cultural artifact stealing white woman herself. That's right, Lara Croft. Before we had Tom Holland and the dude who gets faded with a teddy bear in Uncharted doing it, there was Tomb Raider. You wouldn't know it by looking at her, but she was quite the smoke show back in the day. You see, for a long time, kids, there were no insanely lewd things in video games. The technology just wasn't there yet. With the rapid evolution of computer graphics in the 90s, though, Lara Croft quickly became the most sexualized woman in gaming, despite being polygonally challenged. What can I say, guys? They didn't even have Internet-tron yet. There were some horny savages back in the day. Fun fact, the first Internet-tron site was sex.com, and it actually launched the same year as Tomb Raider. Go figure. Things suddenly being 3D, Lara was a real evolution of the problem for women in the games industry, and things were about to get a whole lot more male-gazy. So desperate to see Lara's cubic goods were the boys of the time that there were rumors abound that hidden in the programming was some kind of nude Easter egg. This of course was untrue, but all kinds of theories were made as to how to access this, be that activated by some kind of special item, or a Konami Code-esque declothifying sequence of button mashes, or even a special sexy hidden location. The urban legend of the Nude Raider was born. John King, commenting on legendsrevealed.com, says, in the UK, one magazine published a story in April claiming the programmers for fun had created a nude cheat and accidentally left it in all three versions. To use the cheat, a player had to tap a rhythm into a controller in port 2, and the player using port 1 had to make Lara dance to it, triggering a disco cutscene, after which Lara and at least one male character would be nude and the animals would no longer attack her. Note, doing this would be too much work for it to be real. Yeah, that's the reason it's not real. The article claimed the magazine staff had managed to do the cheat using the Spice Girls Wannabe. I have no idea what that is. I'm not gonna pretend. Spice Girls Wannabe? What? You wanna be my lover. For years, this fake cheat was repeated as a legend. Well, where there's a will, there's a mod for it, and it of course wasn't long before you could download that mod on PC at a website of the name nuderaider.com. This site would soon be shuttered though in 1999, just a few years after the first Tomb Raider game came out. Core Design, the developers, had had enough and sought legal action. According to news from an interview at The Gamer though, with core devs, this isn't the only time they had to push back against the nude Lara Croft. Nude mods are somewhat to be expected of people who have no life on the internet. Just take a peek at the Skyrim mods out there. Rule 34 of the internet, man. But who would have known that people at the company producing the game were deranged enough to actually suggest putting this in the video game, marketing it to teenagers? Let's refer to what one of the early creators of the franchise, Gavin Rumery, had to say. It annoyed us because A, it didn't exist, and B, it meant we'd meet people at parties who thought we were perverts making tronographic video games for children. Rumery says it was for this reason that the shower scene was added in Tomb Raider 2, not to titillate players, but to tell them off. Despite telling fans to buzz off at the end of Tomb Raider 2, they were still thirsty AF. One wrote in saying, why don't you just show us the nude code? Everybody wants to see it, but I guess you're never gonna listen to my opinion even though you should. If you put in the nude code, you're gonna get a huge amount of sales. You've already told us about what a great game it is. Millions of people are just sitting in their homes dreaming about the nude code night and day. Millions of us. If you put it out, Tomb Raider 3, this will be the biggest game to hit the market. I'm sure I'm kinda late, but you guys made a big mistake not putting in the code. Don't you think you've waited long enough? Now this magazine, who obviously is not responsible for Tomb Raider in any way, just told them to chill the F out and that it's never gonna happen. Just look at how bad the discourse was when the Tomb Raider reboot games were announced. And his worst nightmare came true. She has pants. The article continues, while Nude Raider was never true and never planned for, Douglas tells me there was pressure from management to add it in later, and feels that part of the reason the rumor endured was because people marketing the game wanted it to. I thought it was just a typical juvenile reaction, he says. Even during the development, someone in management, perhaps half joking, asked us for something similar and we told them to bog off. There certainly wasn't anything in the game that did that, but there was a fan-made patch for the PC sometime after release, the before-mentioned one. What was a little surprising is how long the publisher leaned into it, which means so they knew about the Nude Raider site, but they let it stay up long enough to generate traffic and generate buzz for the game. Eidos Interactive wasn't even the only company to capitalize on this, and other companies also exploited this rumor for their own gain, such as this Game Shark type product. Those were the days when all publicity was seen as good regardless of how it depicted the character. The writer ends the article saying, in a way the Nude Raider myth and the fact management pushed for it is oddly fitting. Lara Croft is an icon for many women that had to enjoy the sexism associated with gaming, and 25 years later the Nude Raider myth is dead and gone, but she's still here. Lara had to endure the same hostility and mockery as the rest of us, and she made it through. This was written by Stacey Henley, and I just gotta give credit where credit is due because she did an incredible job with this, and this video would not be possible without it. So there's your story about just how exploitative video game companies can be, and how important it is to have developers with values. I would add further comment, but I honestly think there's nothing left to say. Only that we have another video in the works about another video game heroine and the internet's inability to not focus on her boobs. So there's that. If that video is already live, you'll be able to find a link to it in the description box below. You can subscribe to Higher Level Gaming to always find out when we post videos like this. We focus on politics and social justice issues in the video game industry, or you can just give us a like, that also helps. But above all else, have a nice day and go play some video games.